Palm Sunday, the day when Jesus rode into town on his donkey and the crowds were cheering and waving their palms, Hosanna in the highest, we love you, Jesus. And later that week, that same crowd yelled out, crucify him, crucify him. All together now, oops, life can be that way, can it? So the question we have to ask this morning, and it's a real important question, do you see Jesus as a victim, a survivor, or a master? Because how you see him is probably how you see yourself in your day-to-day life. How we see him, victim, survivor, or master, is often how we see ourselves. And we all go through all three of those at times. But Jesus lived in one of those in every moment. So let's look at the attributes of all three. Starting with, was Jesus a victim? What are the attributes of a victim? Well, we all know the attributes. Somebody done me wrong, right? They're singing that somebody done me wrong song. Something out there or someone is doing it to me. And I'm putting all the blame out there. A lot of self-pity, a lot of poor me. Anybody squirming in their seats yet? And then we go on and enlist other people in our story. If I'm feeling this way, I want to enlist other people to reinforce that, to make sure you see it that way too. I'm feeling powerless, there are no choices, no personal responsibility. And a victim's prayer is begging a man in the sky to fix them, to change them, but don't ask me to change. Anybody relate to that? Anybody squirming yet? Now, Jesus' message was a message of empowerment, not victimhood. We've all been victimized in the past, but it's not who we are. It's an event, not a lifestyle. And some people wear their victimhood as a martyrdom. Anybody know people that are true martyrs? And I have to say this, every Palm Sunday, you're stuck with me on this, year after year. I'm going to say it every year. My favorite Palm Sunday quote is from Dolly Parton. To all the victims out there, she said, "Get off the cross, the world needs the wood." Remember her saying that? Get off the cross, the world needs the wood. That's the whole reason I moved to Tennessee. I just thought she knows what she's talking about. The crucifixion has a much deeper metaphysical meaning. Jesus knew what was coming. He said, you know that after 2 days is the Passover, and the Son of Man will be delivered up to be crucified. Now, he didn't say I will be, he said the Son of Man. And that's a hint at the deeper meaning. In other words, the Son of Man is our human condition, will be crossed out, so that our spiritual nature can resurrect. And yes, he prayed, take this cup from me. None of us like to go through our crucifixions that happen in many ways, but he didn't resist it, and he let it pass through him. He didn't build a condominium there. He let it pass through. All the stories of Jesus and the stories that he told reflect the esoteric teachings of the ancient mystery schools. And so he was talking about crucifying our identity with our human nature and switching our identity, resurrecting it to our spiritual nature. It's almost like a code in the scriptures for those who are ready to hear that deeper meaning. Now let's look at survivor. Was Jesus a survivor? What are the attributes of a survivor? It almost sounds good, but there's a lot of human struggle and effort in this when you're in the survival mode. It just sounds hard, doesn't it? I'm struggling to survive. And I shared with you before that I had to stop saying I'm a survivor of cancer because I don't even want to relate to that idea of just surviving. I choose to thrive in life itself and stop the struggle. Stop the fighting and the struggle, relying not on my human power, but on my spiritual power to take me where I need to be. And the survivor's prayer is almost there, but it's still more beseeching than claiming. Still more asking than calling it forth. And life itself gives us those crucifixion experiences. Every one of us have been through them. Those dark nights of the soul, when our inner demons are triggered. And it's an opportunity then to slay those human tendencies and resurrect to a higher place. I love the old stories and myths and legends of all cultures where the heroes and the knights of old slay the dragons. There's always somebody with a sword slaying a dragon. Of course, metaphysically, that's slaying those inner demons, those inner dragons. The ancient sailors used to go out and explore, and they used to voice, I wish I could say it in Scotty's from Star Trek's voice, but they would say, beyond this point, there be dragons. There be dragons, man. They thought the world was going to fall off at a certain point. Beyond this point, there be dragons. But it's only in our minds. And we give our minds power. We give those thoughts of fear and limitation power, and we struggle against them. And all that does is feed the dragons rather than resurrect them. We have to slay the fear-based thinking and know the truth that sets us free, that we are divine by nature. And I know I've shared with you my own story of moving from victim to survivor to master in ministerial school. I was working my way through school, and it was hard. I went to school during the day, I worked at night, and I was exhausted. And I saw other classmates who maybe had the money, they didn't have to work their way through school, or their churches were sponsoring them. I was new to Unity, so I was doing it all by myself, all together. Now, see how I enlist you in my victimhood? And then the day I walked by a group of classmates, and they weren't talking about me, but they were talking about another classmate. And they said, oh, he's got a victim consciousness. And they weren't talking about me, but those words burned in me, and I knew that I was feeling like the victim, that I had a victim consciousness, and I knew I had to change that. And then to reinforce it, I went to work after the class, and at Silent Unity, they had the daily words in the Unity magazines there to read in between calls, so there wasn't much time for that. But I randomly opened up Unity magazine, and guess what the words were on that article? Are you a victim, a survivor, or a master? I kid you not. Those were the pages I opened up to. And I just said, okay, I get the message. I get the message. And I made a life-changing moment that I was no longer going to stay in that. And I switched to an attitude of gratitude. I had a wonderful job praying with people all over the world. I had a wonderful support system of classmates that were right with me. And we all loved each other and supported each other through school. And I began to see choices that I couldn't see when I was in that victim consciousness. And I began to center in the presence and allow the flow of life to get me through it rather than struggling with that human effort that we put into it sometimes. And then my prayers became prayers of power, claiming it, calling it forth. I have enough time, enough energy enough to do all that is mine to do, calling it forth rather than, oh, please help this pitiful creature. Felt good to shift out of that. Now the next one was Jesus, a master. What are the attributes of a master? Well, that's pretty simple. A master knows who he or she is, an aspect of the divine. A master trusts in their divine nature, does not have to rely on that human effort and struggle, knows the power of choice that we have, and sees everything as an opportunity to demonstrate that. to demonstrate that. And then prayer becomes a prayer of power. I am the resurrection and the life together. I am the resurrection and the life. The first time I started to say that, it almost felt blasphemous. I can't say that. That's Jesus' prayer. No, that's all our prayer. Our I am presence is the resurrection and the life, the divinity within us. And that goes for every area of your life and all walks of life. You know, this is a side trip I want to take, but there's a modern day master you might have seen from the Grammy Awards, John Batiste. And that man is living the compassionate power of the presence both in his work and in his life. And the song that he won the Grammy for, I don't know how many, 11 Grammys I think he won, it was called Freedom. And it's all about loving yourself, being who you are, and that there's freedom in that. And his words mirror the book we're doing on Wednesday night, Dying to Be Me, where she says too, after coming back from her near-death experience, just love yourself and be who you are. Freedom, freedom. And when that happens, we resurrect back to our innocence, back to our original state of innocence. You know, in the tarot, the beginning card is the Fool, going out into the world in total innocence, totally trusting, loving themselves, being who they are, stepping off the cliff with innocence, not guilt. And innocence doesn't just mean free of guilt. The best definition I ever read for innocence is this. Innocence is a word often misunderstood. It does not mean without guilt, but rather a freedom. There's that word again, freedom, and a total openness to life, a complete lack of fear that comes through a total faith in living and in your own instinctive self. In other words, living from your divine nature, totally loving yourself, totally being who you are. And I think that's why Jesus said you must become like a child. They live in that total innocence, loving themselves, being who they are, and that freedom. Now, Jesus identified with his divine nature. He didn't identify with victimhood. He identified with his divine nature through his I am statements. And if you read the book of John, it's full of I am statements. So we're going to practice them today. First, he said, I am the bread of life. Now, bread, metaphysically, is substance, spiritual substance. I am the spiritual substance of life, which is why he was able to multiply the loaves and the fishes. If you're comfortable, repeat with me, I am the bread of life. Together, I am the bread of life. And then he said, I am the light of the world. We're not this physical body encased in the material form. I am the light of the world. I have the power to re-energize, rejuvenate, restore. If you're comfortable, repeat with me, I am the light of the world. Together, I am the light of the world. And then he said, I am the good shepherd. We have to shepherd those thoughts that keep us in bondage, that keep us in that victim consciousness or that survival mode. I am the good shepherd. I shepherd my thoughts so that I can love myself, be who I am, and totally free. Repeat with me, I am the good shepherd. Together, I am the good shepherd. And then finally he said, I am the resurrection and the life. What a powerful statement. Anytime I have a health challenge, I start to say, I am the resurrection and the life. I don't know how many times I've had to resurrect myself out of those lower states of health issues. If you're comfortable, repeat with me, I am the resurrection and the life. Together, I am the resurrection and the life. And finally, he said, I am the way, the truth, and the life, meaning his divine nature, his I am presence. I I am that individual extension of the divine. I know the truth, and the truth sets me free. If you're comfortable, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Together, I am the way, the truth, and the life. He wasn't talking about his human personality. He was talking about his divine nature. And then he said, I am the true vine. My I am is the vine, and I am a branch. I am a leaf on the tree, but I am the true vine. I'm one with Source. All that I need, the wisdom, the strength, the endurance, the abundance, comes to me as I know I am the true vine. Together, I am the true vine. The only problem we really have is the belief in separation. The belief that we're just floating around here on our own, separate from Source. The only solution is to know your union, your I am presence. There may be dragons out there, but we can slay them. It's all in our mind. So ask yourself, are you a victim, a survivor, or a master? The power of choice is always there to slay that dragon, to cross out the states of mind that no longer serve us, and resurrect to a higher state of mind. And don't forget to get off the cross, because the world needs the wood, okay? Let us take that into prayer. We are willing to face what is before us. Like the fool, we step off the cliff courageously, freely, with confidence and trust in whatever is before us. I am the way. I am the good shepherd. I am the vine. I am the bread of life. My I am presence. As I center in that knowing, I find the strength, the guidance, the wisdom. I am guided in every moment. And I am so blessed, as all of us are, in each other's presence this morning. We do pray this in the nature of the Christ presence. And so it is, so it truly is. Amen.